back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle. Riding solo this week because all the other guys have prior engagements, but please make sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in this video, we'll be taking a look at the upcoming matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills, taking place this Sunday at noon. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be traveling to Buffalo as they are the 7th seed, and Buffalo earned the 2 seed with their big win over Miami this past week. But the Josh Allen roller coaster continues. As I always like to say, the roller coaster never stops with him. This past weekend against the Dolphins, he threw 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 1 fumble. All 3 of those turnovers happened in the end zone or red zone in the fumbles case. Just terrible decision making. Large part of the night for Josh Allen. Came out smelling like a rose, luckily, because otherwise he would be on his way to, well, I guess he'd be staying in Miami. But lucky for him, the Bills were able to come out on top. Large part because of the punt return for a touchdown that kind of shifted the momentum into Buffalo's favor. So now they get the privilege of hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, who this past weekend beat the Baltimore Ravens backups in order to earn their spot into the playoffs, thanks to Jacksonville losing to the Tennessee Titans. All of a sudden, Mason Rudolph knows how to play football. I don't know what the heck happened there. So, kind of an X factor, I feel like, in this one, because I don't feel like you have any idea. At this point, you have no clue what the heck you're going to get out of Mason Rudolph. But, obviously, George Pickens is great. Deontay Johnson's great. Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris, both great. However, if Mason Rudolph has it done, then I think it's kind of game over, especially against this Buffalo defense, who I believe ranks top 5 in points allowed, number 4. Buffalo ranking number 4 in points allowed, with only allowing 18.3 points per game this season. So obviously a pretty tough defense to score on. And Buffalo's never out of a game. I don't think they've been blown out ever since Josh Allen took over at quarterback for them. So, or at least not very often. They always seem to be in games, whether they're winning or losing. But the Steelers' defense is also not anything to look down on, I should say. However, TJ Watt being out is a huge story for them. Buffalo, hopefully Josh Allen doesn't have to worry about as much of a pass rush, and can, buy himself time for the most part in order to get throws off to Gabe Davis, Shakir, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, James Cook. Use those weapons around him. I think Joe Brady is kind of... If you've noticed, their pass percentage plays, I think, is down below 50% since Joe Brady took over at offensive coordinator. So, obviously, he's probably going to look to run the ball more. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers offense can't score very quickly, I think Buffalo's going to quickly... I think Buffalo's going to start to run away with that time of possession, assuming they use their run game to their fullest potential with James Cook and maybe a little bit of Josh Allen design runs. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers defense can cause Buffalo to perform a lot of 3-and-outs, then I think, if Mason Rudolph keeps playing like he's playing, they've got a chance. But kind of like you just saw, it's kind of a lot of like if, stands, buts. It's a lot of stuff has to go right for Pittsburgh to win this game, you feel like. However, Buffalo is the king of the roller coaster. They're up and down. They've played, honestly, if you look back, three pretty bad games for the most part. Beating the Patriots, who are bad, barely. Beating the Chargers, who are bad, barely. And now beating the Dolphins in a really ugly fashion where Josh Allen played really poorly. And the only reason they really won was because Tua Tagovailoa couldn't, kind of choked worse than Josh Allen did. So you gotta kind of worry about the Bills as well. I think going into this game, they in my opinion are probably one of the softest two seeds you've seen in a while. One of the most vulnerable, I guess, two seeds you've probably seen since the 7 seed format. Um, because they can lose to anybody and they can beat anybody. That's the thing with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That's the roller coaster of Buffalo. Um, they can beat anybody you put in front of them. You put the Joe Montana 49ers in front of them, they can beat them. However, you put the 0-16 Detroit Lions in front of them, they might lose. They might lose. So that's the thing with the Bills. You just never know what game you're going to get out of them. So assuming it's a good game, they should run away with this one, you would hope. But if Josh Allen comes out and turns the ball over 3 times and Mason Rudolph continues to do what he's doing, it would be crazy. But Pittsburgh might win. Maybe I don't think so. I don't think there's a shot Pittsburgh wins. But the thing is, you feel a little, in my opinion at least, you feel a little bit better about them than you should. Like when the Chiefs played the Steelers, the 7 seed Steelers a few years ago, the first year of the 7 seed format, you went into that game knowing you were about to just steamroll these guys. And while you maybe didn't steamroll them, you did beat them by a pretty like a pretty healthy margin. So I don't feel the same about this Bills team. I feel a little sketched out. You never know what you're gonna get from the Bills. You got the roller coaster of Josh Allen just going up and down and up and down and up and down. Just last game was a microcosm of it. Get down into the red zone. He's playing really well. All of a sudden, throw a pick inside the end zone. Drive down to the red zone. You think it's going really well. Boom. Fumble in the red zone. Driving down the field. Think it's going really well. Boom. Interception. Because he throws a crazy, prayer up into the end zone and it gets picked. So it's hard to feel good about Josh Allen right now, in my opinion. I don't think he's playing very well. I think he's playing some of his worst football as we speak. But if he can turn it around, then obviously they should run away with this game. Now on to Mason Rudolph. I haven't gotten to watch much of him this year. Obviously, he hasn't played much this year, but the last couple weeks. Because I legitimately, and I think if you followed us at all throughout the season, you may have heard me mention that the Pittsburgh point differential and them being their record makes no sense to me. They probably have the worst point differential out of any other playoff teams. I would almost guarantee. But now all of a sudden Mason Rudolph comes in after sitting for 2 seasons pretty much now, 2 or 3 seasons now. All of a sudden he knows how to read a defense. I saw one play, he looked a safety off. Mason Rudolph's never looked a safety off. I was baffled. I was awestruck. I was floored. Looked the safety off, threw a strike to, I think it was George Pickens. It might have been Deontay Johnson. But one of those guys, I think they ended up scoring a touchdown on it. If not, it was a really, 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 really big gain of 40 plus yards. And I texted to the group chat. I was like, "What the fuck? Mason Rudolph can read a defense now?" Like I was in shock. I did not. Maybe he's always had known how to do that. Maybe he just needed a little confidence, and this like whole little opportunity is kind of like a, fuck it, you know. Who knows what happens? Let's find out. Boom, dime, dime, dime. So credit to him. He's playing really good right now. Best football of his career. Similar to Joe Flacco. Don't know how. Like what the fuck? But it's hard to believe they're gonna beat this Buffalo team. So I think I got the Bills in this one. As for the other guys, let me go ahead and pull theirs up. We got Aaron also going with the Bills. I'm sure. Joe actually said Steelers because he has to, obviously with him being a Steelers fan. Crazy thing is, I like I've said, I don't think that's the craziest possibility. Um, the Bills have been riding a roller coaster all season long. 5 game winning streak, you would think's a climax, wouldn't you? You would think that's the apex. You would think 5-0 would be like the apex of that roller coaster. Um, it would be there would be nothing more. Actually, wow, the Pittsburgh Steelers point differential has changed dramatically. I think they had -80 last time I really looked at it back in like week 12. Now it's down to minus. Now it's up to -20. So good for them. Um, but there'd be nothing more Buffalo Bills than to lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round after clinching the 2 seed in the AFC. Um, but we'll have to wait and see. I've got the Bills winning this one. They should win this one. And with me having the Chiefs winning their game, that sets up Buffalo versus Kansas City. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs once again. But this time, for the first time ever, it would take place in Buffalo. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs would have to travel up to New York to play in their first road playoff game outside of a Super Bowl because those are neutral site. First road playoff game in Patrick Mahomes' career. So, we're on course for a collision between those two. Both of them just gotta get it done. But other than that, I think that'll do it. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, deuces.